We all know the Spark series, it's Tecno's best-selling smartphone, and thanks to that we have this Spark 9T coming in with a couple of cool nice-to-haves for the price. It also falls between the Spark 9 and the Spark 9 Pro, making it the middle child. The body is plastic, but the glossy kind, which I don't really like so much because of how prone it is to fingerprints and scratches. And Tecno knows this, so they included a clear silicone case in the box with Spark lettering all over it. It also has the flat edges that we saw on the Camon 19 Pro 5G, and because it's plastic, you will not see many interruptions in the design from antenna band cutouts, something that we often see on smartphones with metal frames and glass backs. On the right edge are all the buttons, the volume buttons and the power button below them, which also double up as a fingerprint sensor. Definitely the more logical choice for me, since the power button is usually used to unlock the device. On the left edge is the SIM and micro SD combo, which will gladly accept 2 SIMs and an SD card. On the bottom edge is where you'll get the headphone jack, the primary microphone, the USB-C port, and the loudspeaker. The back shares the same camera circles with the Camon 19 Pro 5G, but just a bit smaller on the Spark 9T. The top one houses the 13 megapixel main camera, and the bottom one is of course decoration. There is also a quad LED flash right next to these circles and the Tecno Spark branding on the right edge. On the bottom left corner is the Spark slogan, "Stopping nothing." On the front there is a 6.6-inch display with a water drop notch for the 32 megapixel selfie camera up top. Above the camera is the speaker grill for the earpiece. All fun stuff, but let's check out what's on the inside. Running things inside the Spark 9T is Android 12 with iOS 8.6 on top. Their skin comes with some really interesting software features, and even though the list is not as extensive as the one on the Camon 19 Pro 5G, it's still packed. There is a pre-installed music composing app called SoulPlay that you can use to make some beats on the fly. It has a bunch of presets for beats, instruments, and even some vocal effects. It's really great fun if you're feeling musically creative. You can make something half decent with it. It feels like the variety of options on instruments is a bit limited, but I think only a pro beats producer would feel that way. A casual user will enjoy pushing those buttons, and it's quite intuitive. Far much easier to use than, let's say, FL Studio for my homies that make beats, but like I said, a lot less variety as a result. You also get Wow FM, which was on the Camon 19 Pro 5G as well. It's pretty much an online radio streaming app with built-in FM radio. Basically, it shows you the future that is streaming radio, but without leaving behind the majority of their client base that still relies on offline broadcast radio in places where either connectivity is a challenge or there exists a lack of capacity to afford data or an internet connectivity to just stream radio. There is also a notifications dot on the extreme right top corner, which lights up green whenever there is an app using the microphone or the camera, and if you tap on the button in the drop-down curtain, it will also show you the specific app using the microphone or camera or both. An interesting observation I made is that the Spark 9T has Tecno's virtual assistant, Ella. And yet the same virtual assistant is not available on the more premium Camon 19 Pro 5G. Maybe this is Tecno looking out for the customer base that's paying the bills. However, unfortunately, it seems the Spark 9T is plagued by the same software optimization issues that I faced with the Camon 19 Pro 5G. There is a hesitation when jumping in and out of apps, and also when generally navigating the UI. The Spark 9T supports a 90Hz refresh rate, but because of the slight stutter when scrolling or navigating the UI, the smooth refresh rate then doesn't shine. Also, the 90Hz is not quality enough here. Just as it was on the Camon 19 Pro 5G, there is a fair loss of sharpness and ghosting when scrolling, and it gets worse the faster you scroll. almost as if the pixels on the display cannot adapt fast enough to the signal that they are getting. It's not a deal breaker though, considering the price point of this smartphone. It's just me nitpicking. The Spark 9T comes with 4 gigs of RAM that can be bumped up to 6 gigs with some witchcraft that they call memory fusion, and also 128 gigs of internal storage that is expandable by up to 256 gigs with a micro SD card. Performance is reasonable for a smartphone of this price range. It might suffer slightly with animations and transitions, but that does not affect how it performs when it comes to running apps, multitasking, and gaming. Battery performance is what we're used to in a Spark. In our endurance test, it just lost 21% of juice after 3 hours of video recording, video streaming, and gaming. It's pretty much a Tecno, shattering the endurance record of another Tecno and by a good distance. The Spark 9T outlasts the Pova 5G, which comes with a 6000 mAh battery. What helps it is pretty much a power-efficient chipset, a low-resolution display, and the endurance test was run on the display's refresh rate set on auto. All this just contributed to the Spark 9T being the battery champ. It's a comfortable 2-day battery, and if you are buying this for your granny, it's probably a 3 to 4 day battery. Comfortably. The camera situation is a 13 megapixel rear camera and a 32 megapixel selfie camera. There is obviously a bit more emphasis on the selfie camera because the data might suggest that the majority of Spark series customers are big on selfies. It does show the selfie camera has some good work put into it and it takes some pretty decent photos. I was actually impressed with how it exposed my face very well, whilst keeping the details in the sky and the background. For a phone of this price, again, this selfie camera is punching above its weight. The rear camera is not bad as well. It offers good detail and sharpness in images and also does a fair job with color reproduction. These photos were taken on an overcast day, and usually if the sun is not present, some cameras struggle with colors, but the Spark 9T, it pulled through. What I did notice is it does do a fair bit of focus hunting if the subject you wish to take a photo of is a small proportion to the rest of the frame. At times I needed to tap to try and focus to get that to work, but really this is me nitpicking. It's decent, it's a decent camera. Video is kept at 1080p and it does get a bit shaky because of no stabilization, but it's not too bad. It also does do a bit of focus hunting when filming videos, which is something that phones of this price bracket tend to struggle with. For the same price, this is quite a solid camera. Just ensure it is in well-lit environments, and if not, then selfies are the best place to be. The dual selfie flash is definitely bright enough to illuminate any face, even in pitch black darkness. The Spark 9T delivers. Yeah, it has a few software optimization issues it needs sorted out, but apart from that, it's a worthy upgrade to the previous Spark. It is a more mature and more elegant design, taking notes from its more premium sibling, the Camon 19, but just shinier. Performance is sufficient, the battery life is pretty much record-breaking, the cameras are competent, and all this for just $175 US. I think this one will be a popular one. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.